What's going on YouTube? So we've got the new stuff from the next pack is kind of been revealed, and so because a lot of that stuff is really relevant in Maliss, I just wanted to do a video kind of talking about the new Ad Ignister stuff and how you would put it into a Maliss deck and what some of the things it can do and some of the things it can't do, and talk about that. Just kind of, go through the new stuff as it's coming in this next pack, and it's been confirmed now. I mean, it hasn't been completely confirmed that all of these cards are coming, but basically boils down to these three. So backup Ad Ignister. If you control a Cyberse monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. If it's normal or special, you can add a dark Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand, then discard one card. So obviously you can use this to search up Maliss monsters, or you can use it to search up the other target, which is Wizard. And you can only use each effect once per turn. It's hard once per turn on both effects, or on the summon condition and on the effect. Oh, it's not a hard once per turn on the summoning condition. No, I'm wrong. But it's a hard once per turn on the effect. But this can work with Link Decoder and Splash Mage and Trans Code Talker to guaranteed put up a allied code talker Ad Ignister with a transcode talker pointing to it. Just by itself, just normal summon backup Ad Ignister is now like full Cyberse combo. It requires a discard, but yeah, that's not a big deal. But then also, if you discard them, you're turning on the possibility of your Bestials banishing them. And then Wizard is a very similar thing, where you can special summon it and a monster from the graveyard in order to special summon it, and it has a change battle position effect that could come up in certain game states, but isn't the most relevant thing in the world. But mostly you're just using it to, for example, search Dormouse, discard Dormouse, summon back Dormouse, or if Dormouse is already in your hand, search this, discard Dormouse, summon back Dormouse, right? So it has a lot of really useful utility. And then the allied code talker is an Omni Negate. He summons monsters to the zones he points to when he gets link summoned, and then after that you contribute them in order to be an Omni Negate. So Firewall. So I was on Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid Neo Tempest Terahertz before. I think allied code talker, even though its spell negate is a little bit more conditional, it's also like, it's not really. It's a better negate, and it's an Omni Negate instead of just being a spell and trap negate, and then you don't have to discard for the pack bit, and you get 2 free spaces in the extra deck. So, like, these cards are definitely really relevant. And I think Transcode Talker is interesting because this is a deck that likes to run Dominus Impulse. Maliss, I mean. So that does turn off the Transcode Talker line. So you might decide not to run Transcode Talker at all and just accept that your backup line isn't full combo anymore, because it's still a pretty weak combo. But doing something with it is probably worth it, and then you just have to remember that you can't do that if you've Dominus Purged on your opponent's first turn, right? It's not that big a deal. And then you are more inclined to set the Purge because you're running Transcode Talker, but that is a card that could come up and obviously be worth the space in a Cyberse pile. And those are basically the 3 big new cards that are coming out of the next set. So what I was thinking is, why don't we build Maliss and kind of decide what that looks like? So 3 Dormouse is obvious. Dormouse is your best full combo. 3 Malice and Underground is obvious because it also is full combo and is pretty good. We want Gold Sarcophagus, which is legal at 2, and they didn't even limit this again, which I think is smart. I honestly didn't like that move of limiting Gold Sarcophagus, like take it off the list and then put it back on when it's really being punished for the sins of Maliss anyway. But and then I think you do still want 3 White Rabbit. And that means that you need at least one MTP to make White Rabbit into a full combo. And I think at this point you run one Chessy Cat, and I think you're always going to run 3 March Hare, because Seeing March Hare is your best extender. It's a card that you'll be searching throughout the combo. It's really powerful in terms of being disrupted, because if your opponent banishes its target, because it banishes from the hand or graveyard, sometimes you just, like, sometimes they're trying to bestial to get you, and it doesn't actually work that way because of how broken Maliss March Hare is. So I think March Hare is really obvious. And then we're going to run 3 backup, 1 wizard, and I think you probably still want some bestials. Like just 1 Magnamut, 1 Druis Worm probably is fine. And you got to decide whether or not you want to run the GWC and maybe even the TB11. You know, TB11 makes White Rabbit a much better combo, but it's not necessarily worth running. GWC, I think, is generally worth running because of the life point gain, mitigating your life point loss and actually causing you to gain life points instead of lose them. So it could be relevant, especially if you were in like what are they called, the Challenger Cups, and you were, you know, worried about time rules there getting you. Then GWC gets better to run, and like I think it is probably worth it, probably worth the 1 slot in the deck, because I mean realistically Maliss is a deck that wants to go first and is really strong going first. So why not just build the deck to be really strong at going first and accept that costs us a brick, right? But the GWC doesn't help you dodge things the way TB11 does, so it's in some ways even weaker as a card that you see in your hand. But you're searching it throughout the combo all the time, so I think it's worth running. And I feel like 5 bestials, like the 3 March Hare and the 2 actual bestials, is all that we really need when we also have backup Ad Ignister, searching wizard, discarding Dormouse, or searching wizard, discarding Chessy Cat, or whatever, right? And then Malice in the Mirror probably is worth running. It's kind of an interactive card so long as you see some of your Malice monsters, so that part is nice. It's searchable throughout a bunch of the combos, but also you can banish it from the deck throughout the combos to get an extra search. So it's really versatile, and it can basically fit into the non-engine slots like these bestials, where it's like it's not the best non-engine in the world, but some of the time it will count as one of your ways to deal with your opponent's stuff on the field. Then obviously you're still going to want to run Max C. You're still going to want to run Ash Blossom to negate the Max C. You're still going to want to run Cross Out to negate the Max C. You're still going to want to run Called By to negate the Max C. And then Imperm Impulse. You know. And then, oh, I only put 1 Called By in, so we'll fix that now. And then given that Maliss is so powerful and so toxic in Best of 1, I am going to be main decking 2 Lanceas, partially so that I have a Lancea for cross out most of the time, and partially so that I can negate Called by the Grave, and partially because it's really good at sacking my opposing Maliss opponents, and Maliss is the best deck by a long shot. I mean, this is more powerful than Maliss has ever been in any other format, and they basically have not hit it. They've not hit it at all. They've unhit everything that you might want to run in the Maliss deck, in fact, right? Like, except Max C, but you know what I'm saying, like engine. Like, you have 2 gold sarcophagus, you have all the Ad Ignister monsters, you have all of the March Hare, you have all of the spells and traps. Like, your bestials aren't even at the same restriction in Master Duel, so if you wanted to run more Druis Worm for whatever reason, you could. You know? So we're obviously going to need 1 red Ransom because it's part of the combo, 1 white Binder because it's part of the combo and one of your most important engine pieces. I think you still do run the Heart's Cryptor. It is just nice to have this to put up. I think Access Code Talker easily gets run. I think SP Little Knight is pretty obvious to run. I think Haggard Lizardos could be important in some of your combos. I think Splash Mage. Sometimes this is early in the combo, sometimes it's late, but you pretty much always will go into Splash Mage in the combo. Add Ignister. That's an end board piece that you'll be making almost every time. Lingeribo. Thanks to the Add Ignister, if you make this early in the combo, you can revive it at the end for an extra trap negate to deal with their Imperm or Called by the Grave or whatever they're trying to hit you with. Link Decoder, you definitely run alongside Appaloosa, and now we've got the whole anti-Nib line baked into the combo. Nib doesn't beat us at all, almost all the time. Access code, plus we've got the Hearts Cryptor and the other Maliss monsters for access code. We've got SP for pushes as well as for its ability to banish your own cards from the graveyard. We've got the 2 Link ones. Let's see, we want the Dark Charmer. You probably do want to run a copy of Dark because it's a tier 0 Maliss format. I think even though we're on Impulse, there's now space in the deck for Transcode Talker and being able to go being able to see just backup Add Ignister and make it into that plus a discard puts up, I think it's Allied Code Talker pointing to Transcode Talker and being pointed to by Transcode Talker and Lingeribo, which is actually a pretty sick end board if you do it right. And then, what else am I missing? So for Link 1s, Link Decoder, Lingeribo, should play around Nibiru and Impulse, respectively, and Imperm in some cases, etc. Then we probably want Almirage, because with Almirage you can normal summon a hand trap, and then you met the summoning conditions for backup Add Ignister. You know, just make our Ash and Max C into cards that you actually can combo with backup Add Ignister to make your end board even stronger. Haggard Lizard Dose, SP Little Knight, Splash Mage for the Link 2s that ramp us up, for the Link 3s that ramp us up and also are important to the end board. We've got the 3 Maliss monsters and the Transcode Talker, Access Code Talker, Dark, another Link 2 that lets you get bodies on the board, Allied Code Talker. So I think the last thing that I want to add is Link Spider, because being able to turn a Nib token into a Link Spider means that even if they do nib you, you get a Cyberse monster out of the deal, which is potentially actually really good. And then, if you wanted to, you could also run Golem Crystal Heart. Yeah, Golem Crystal Heart. Which allows you to do the Transcode Talker thing, but by resummoning the Link Spider. But I genuinely think having Transcode Talker is just more important, even though this one's water, so maybe the fact that this one isn't turned off by Dominus per Impulse makes it slightly better. So there's other things you could still continue doing. For example, you could still actually be running Firewall, maybe we cut the Link Spider and run Firewall Dragon. Because Firewall with this potential board state where it can be pointed to by Appaloosa and Allied Code Talker Add Ignister, and something on the other side of it when you revive your Maliss monster, right? That's 3 returns to the hand from the field or graveyard that you've got going on, and it can be returning your own hand traps or things back to your hand, or your opponent's monsters. So probably is actually worth running that over the Link Spider. And maybe you run Link Spider over Almirage, and you're just it makes your hand traps not as good as combo starters, but it makes your opponent nibbing you into not as big a disadvantage. So like there's a few options, but I think this is something that I would want to start out with. And my big concern for it is that it's only 19 non-engine, and that's very liberally counting Lancias and Bestials, which don't even pair well with each other, and Maliss in the Mirror, which is sometimes non-engine, but it's mostly engine. So you are really banking on the idea of I've got to win some coin flips in order to win the game with the deck in this state. But yeah, I think I'd want to run something just a little bit like that. Yeah, so I think that's all I'm going to do for a video today. Going to put this up in a minute here and then get on with my night. But when the cards come out, we'll actually get some games of the new Maliss stuff going and see if Maliss feels better to play in a format where it's even stronger. Somehow I doubt it, but yeah, hope springs eternal. Alright, well, bye!